Overnight, global markets and diplomacy remain dominated by the widening consequences of the U.S.-Israel war with Iran. The Financial Times reports economists warning the shock will still hurt the U.S. even after active conflict ends, as higher fuel prices feed through supply chains and keep inflation pressures elevated. That matters for the global economy because it complicates the outlook for interest rates, consumer demand, and business investment at the same time as trade and security risks are rising. On the conflict front, the Financial Times says President Trump is sending U.S. officials to Pakistan for fresh peace talks with Iran, while also threatening to resume bombing if Tehran does not agree to a deal. Al Jazeera is focusing on the longer arc of Iran-Israel relations and reports on Israeli attacks affecting healthcare across Iran, Lebanon, and Gaza, underscoring the humanitarian and infrastructure impacts that can outlast battlefield timelines. The BBC reports Ukraine's police chief has resigned after allegations officers fled a deadly shooting, a reminder that institutional strain and accountability issues continue inside Ukraine as the war grinds on. Food and energy security are also converging. ABC reports Russia and Vladimir Putin are positioned to benefit financially and diplomatically from fears of a global food crisis, with hunger risks rising. In practical terms, that points to renewed leverage for major commodity exporters and higher volatility for import-dependent regions. On the technological revolution and artificial intelligence-adjacent risks, ABC reports new research suggesting 2/3 of Australians leave private information open to cybercriminals through public social media settings. The material development here is the scale of exposure. It reinforces that cyber risk is not just a corporate or government issue, but a mass consumer vulnerability that can be exploited using increasingly automated tools. Turning to Australia, the domestic policy and service delivery debate is sharpening around whether infrastructure and public services are keeping pace with population growth. The Sydney Morning Herald reports a suburb where the population has tripled in 25 years without a single new service added, feeding into broader pressure on planning, local government capacity, and state service provision. In politics and public administration adjacent issues, the SMH reports a subsidiary of a firm owned by the Chinese government is in the mix to bid for the Tasmanian stadium build that is likely to intensify scrutiny of procurement, foreign ownership, and strategic risk settings across government projects. On the Australian economy and labour markets, ABC reports netball player Joe Weston is calling for a pay increase following a new free-to-air broadcast deal. The key development is the renewed push to translate media rights and audience growth into wages, echoing wider debates about bargaining power in expanding entertainment and sports markets. Health and community impacts also remain in focus. ABC reports adult ADHD diagnoses have surged since 2017, with new data showing significant variation by location, pointing to uneven access, awareness, or clinical practice across the country. Locally, keep an eye on service gaps in fast-growing areas, cyber hygiene in households and small businesses, and any further detail on major project bidders and procurement safeguards. Markets today will likely take their lead from energy prices, inflation expectations, and any concrete movement in Iran-related talks.